I don't think anything of what I just said recorded. I think my mic was muted. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, Merry Christmas Eve. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. I have got a kind of 3-day special coming for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day and Boxing Day. Christmas Day, I'm just going to pre-warn you now, it is going to ruin your day. It is one of the most horrible cases I've ever read about and wrote about, and honestly I'm not looking forward to filming the video. I couldn't tell you why I do this to myself. I really don't know. So I hope everyone's ready for Christmas and having a lovely Christmas period. I'm also coming out with 2 videos over New Year's Eve and New Year's Day as well. One of them will be New Year's related, the other one will not. And then we will be back to normal schedule. I think it's the 7th of January is the next Tuesday, which I've got the video ready for that as well, which is a really interesting one. It's a sleepwalking case, so be ready for that because it is going to be really, really good. So for today's case, it is finally one that I haven't really heard of. It's not one that I've seen a lot about, and it's one I actually struggled quite a lot to find information on. So it's not going to be the longest of cases, but it should be relatively informative. Let's get into it. Trigger warnings for today's case include rape and suicide. So if there are things you don't want to hear about at the moment, that's totally fine. I'm sure I'll see you for another video. Look after yourselves. Content warning, as always, strong language. This is the case of Katie Locke and the Plenty of Fish killer. Katie was born on November 19th, 1989, and at the time of this case she was 23 years old. She was the youngest child in her family, and her parents were named Bill and Jennifer. Katie studied at Southampton University, and she studied history and politics and then went on to be a politics teacher at a school in Hackney. The dating site Plenty of Fish was launched in 2003, and it was one of the first kind of available free dating sites. So it was very popular. I think since it's launched, it's had over 150 million users. It was kind of the free dating sites that were readily available before things like Tinder and Hinge existed. In December 2015, Katie matched with a man on the app called Carl Langer. Carl was 26 years old, and he presented himself as a young businessman. He had done an internship as a journalist, and now he was a lawyer and ran his own law firm, which at the age of 26 is pretty much unheard of. It's also worth mentioning that Carl was speaking to around 20 other women on the app at the same time he was speaking to Katie. Unfortunately though, what is the risk with online dating sites? Carl was not presenting himself truthfully. He was not presenting who and what he actually was. So Katie and Carl exchanged messages with each other back and forth for a couple of weeks before they eventually decided to meet up and go for a date. Before this date, Katie did everything I would lecture my friends to do. She shared her location with her friends and family. She showed them a picture of what Carl looks like. She told them where she was going, what time, probably what time she'd be back. She did everything she possibly could to make herself safe in this situation. So she went and met Carl. They went to a bar, and while she was there, her family texted her saying, "Is everything okay?" She replied saying everything's going fine, and I believe she actually sent her family a picture of her and Carl together. So Katie has got a hell of a lot of patience, more than I would have. So they're on this date, they're enjoying themselves, they have a few drinks. Carl has quite a few drinks. He has a lot of drinks, and he ends up throwing up. He is in such a state, and Katie, being the lovely person that she is, she's concerned about him. She's concerned about his welfare. She's concerned how he's going to get home, if he can look after himself. So she agrees to take him back to his hotel to make sure he gets home safe. Which, first date, no. If that was, I was on a first date and you got yourself in that much of a state, red flag for a start. B, I'm not your mum. Nah, just no way. So they ended up leaving the bar together around 2:30 p.m. and Katie pays for the taxi. She then has to pay a lot extra for the taxi because Carl throws up in the fucking taxi, which again, I'd just be livid. I'd be so pissed. That's like 50 quid. I'd be fuming. They got back to the hotel around 3:30 a.m. and this was now Christmas Eve. Obviously they'd been out together and they'd had a few drinks. Katie had had a few drinks. She was a bit merry, she was a bit tipsy. But like I said earlier, Carl was just on a complete another level. And I just don't understand why you'd ever get this drunk on a first date. It's just not a good look. Like, why would you do that? So Katie's trying to get him back to his hotel room, and he is just he can't stand up. He is absolutely rat-arsed. And she actually has to go and ask the hotel receptionist to see if someone can help carry this grown-ass man to his hotel room, because he can't walk himself there. About half an hour after they'd finally got Carl into his hotel room, Katie called down to reception and asked for some toothbrushes and toothpaste to be sent up to their room. So this was delivered, and this would be the last time that Katie was ever seen alive by anyone. So we don't know exactly what time, but at some time early hours in the morning of Christmas Eve, Carl, again for an unknown reason, decided to strangle Katie to death. Then he decided to rape her dead body and take lots of pictures of her dead body. After he'd done this, he wrapped Katie's body up in a duvet. He got a laundry cart, no idea where from, but he somehow managed to obtain a laundry cart, put Katie in it, and wheeled her out of the fire escape of the hotel. Once he had got Katie to the fire escape, he then dragged her down the stairs and dumped her body in a ditch around 50 yards away from the hotel. And after this, he was knackered from all the hard work and hard lifting he'd been doing, so he went back to the hotel and had a nap. It's quite a common thing for people after they've killed someone or disposed of someone's body that they then go and have a nap. How can you sleep after doing that? I just do not understand. So he went back for his nap, eventually woke up. He then checked out of the hotel, but before he went down and had breakfast at the hotel, he took himself home back to his parents' house, which you definitely live at your parents' house if you're a lawyer and owned a law firm. His parents said that he seemed completely normal, nothing out of the ordinary. He got himself changed and decided to go and take the dog for a walk. So Katie that night on Christmas Eve was actually supposed to be babysitting or house sitting for one of her best friends, and she didn't turn up. So this concerned the friend, especially because she did know that she was on a date with a man from Plenty of Fish the night before. So Katie's friend decided to give his parents a call and say, is she there? What's going on? Is she okay? And at this point, this was kind of like the final straw for Katie's parents to be really, really concerned and start to take action into finding where on earth their daughter was. Thankfully, because Katie was very prepared and she's obviously very a cautious person, because she had set up her parents knowing exactly who she was going with. She sent pictures when she was on the date. She sent her location. She sent this. She did everything she possibly could have. So her parents knew what Carl looked like, so it didn't take them very long to track down Carl, thankfully. Katie's dad, Bill, went over to Carl's house. Carl's not there because he is walking the dog, so Carl's mum answers the door. And he explains that his daughter's missing. She was last seen with your son. Can you at least ring him and find out where my daughter is? Like, what the hell's going on? But Carl's mum's like, okay, let me ring my son, find out what's going on, find out if he knows anything. So she gives him a call and he just blurts out, yeah, she's in this ditch, she's dead, I killed her. And then his mum then has the horrendous job of telling Bill that his daughter's dead because her son's killed her. I just don't think I could say it. I always wonder how I'd react in these situations, like if someone told me something like that, because I genuinely think I'd just be in disbelief. I think I'm a very much denial as a river in Egypt kind of gal. She does tell Bill, and Bill immediately calls the police. But again, if I was Bill, I think I'd wait there and kick the shit out of her. These people are just better than me. Carl was arrested whilst he was still out on his dog walk. He confessed to what he had done pretty much immediately, told police exactly where Katie's body was, but he did try to say that this was S&M gone wrong, which is the worst, probably the worst or one of the worst defences you could possibly use, because it's just so degrading. No, don't like it. Thankfully, Katie had a lot of people in her corner, and all of her friends and people who knew her came forward and said that's not Katie at all. And even her ex-boyfriends came forward and said, no, sorry, that's just not right. So during questioning, it was revealed that Carl had quite an extensive history of mental illnesses. He had been diagnosed with a personality disorder, although it's not disclosed at the moment exactly which one he had been diagnosed with. That was really hard to get out. Carl had previously confided in a psychiatric nurse and told them that he had fantasies about his ex-girlfriend's little sister. He fantasized about slitting her throat, having sex with her dead body, and taking pictures of her body. Now, that is incredibly specific, and is also exactly what happened to Katie. And I don't know exactly how close this was, him saying this to him killing Katie, but just normal people, stable people do not say things like this, and generally when someone says it, it then happens, and it's alarming that they're not always taken seriously when someone says something like that. It's very, very scary. In 2009, he was cautioned for assaulting a girlfriend, and in 2013, he was considered by police and social services a risk to himself. In 2014, he assaulted his brother, and in 2015, he threatened to kill his girlfriend and his mental health worker. And just 3 weeks before he killed Katie, he received a suspended sentence for threats to kill someone else. Carl was eventually tried at St Albans Crown Court. Carl said that he didn't know why he killed her, but he did plead guilty, and he was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 26 years. While he was in prison, Carl continued to be visited by psychiatrists, and they did eventually come up with a new diagnosis for Carl. He was diagnosed with emotionally unstable, dissocial, and obsessive compulsive personality disorders. However, the experts that have seen him have ruled that he was not experiencing any psychosis and that he was fabricating his delusions. I'm not 100% sure of the date of this, but also whilst he was in prison, he basically nearly killed a prison officer. He strangled him, nearly breaking his neck. He did it with so much force and tried and tried to gouge his eyes out of his eye sockets, which makes me go funny. On February 11th, 2021, Carl would be found in his cell after having taken his own life. And that is the end of Christmas Eve story. Very cheery, like I said. So, yeah, I think that's just a scream to everyone to please be careful on dating sites. It genuinely terrifies me. I went on one date with someone from a dating site, and he said on his site that he was 6'2", and I got there and he was the same height as me. According to the doctors, I'm 5'6", but I think I'm 5'7", and he was the same height as me. You cannot just add on like 5 inches. That's not how life works. Didn't see him again. And then I met someone else on Tinder, and that was wonderful. But since then, I've been going on it now, and it's just the most depressing place in the entire world. But if you do meet anyone online, Katie did everything right, apart from just being too nice, because there's absolutely no way in hell I would have helped someone that much. It's self-inflicted, I'm sorry, but if you're going to start throwing up on a first date, it's just ginormous red flags. Absolutely not, no thank you. I think that was the only thing she did wrong, that she was too nice and this guy was a twat. So I need a positive thought of the day. My positive thought of the day and every day for the foreseeable future will be Giselle Pellicoat. She is the most amazing, inspirational woman. What a woman that I've ever come across. She is incredible. How she was not Times Person of the Year and Donald fucking Trump was, I don't know. I'd make it make sense. I don't know. But yeah, I listened in on the trial, not on the trial, but for the sentencing the other day, and some of them weren't as long as they could have been and should have been. But overall, I think it's just shone a light on violence against women and kind of set a bit of an example. And also her saying that it's not her shame to carry, it's the people who did that to her, is just so powerful. So that's my positive thought of the day, because I just think it's amazing what she's done. So I will be back for you tomorrow. I really don't want to film it. doing the case of Ronald Gene Simmons. I'm going to film it now. But until then, make good choices. Just look after yourselves, please. Just be as vigilant and paranoid as humanly possible, because sometimes it's a very good thing. Don't get murdered. I will see you tomorrow. Love you, bye. I don't think anything of what I just said recorded. I think my mic was muted. That's okay. Hello? 2016. No, he had his old Jesus Christ. After they'd finally got Curl? Who's Curl? Oh, my foot's going dead. Oh, my foot. Oh my God, that hurts so much. Oh, that really hurts. They get come very much denial is a river in Egypt kind of gal. Found whilst what? No, ignore me. Did it with so much force and tried force. Why do I feel like I can't breathe?